Bitch, where's my money? If you want to help me out, you can subscribe to me on Patreon, which is Grimachu, on Subscribestar, which is Grim-Jim, or if you want to make a one-off donation to help support me keep the channel going, you can do so at paypal.me/JDesborough. Thanks.
So, Rishi Sunak, our really final, this time doc Prime Minister, is in now. Our first racial minority Prime Minister, unless you count Jews, which seems to be a contentious issue on both left and right. I guess it's going to be worth all the pain and horror that a continuing Tory administration is going to bring, just so long as some little Indian boy or girl can look up at the television, see Rishi there, and realise that one day perhaps they too could grow up to be a sociopathic rich cunt. This just goes to show how shallow identity analysis is, and how class analysis is much more important and relevant. Rishi went to posh schools. He's got shitloads of money. His wife is a tax avoider with even more shitloads of money. They're richer than the Queen was. As we say at the other end of the spectrum, with the working and underclass, you have far more in common with each other, regardless of your racial background or anything else, than you do with the owning or rent-seeking class. And so it is at the top, and one need only look at the previous couple of Home Secretaries here in the UK, the people who handle justice and immigration, Priti Patel and Suella Braverman, to see that being black and minority ethnic, or the son and daughter of immigrants, doesn't magically make you any more sympathetic to the plight of current refugees or immigrants or the poor or the disabled or minor criminals or indeed anything else. I don't think it matters what colour the boot on your throat is. It's the fact that you have a boot on your throat that matters. Rishi's hired a journalist from ITV, Independent Television News, to be his comms director, which just goes to show how in bed the media and politicians are with each other. There's often something of a revolving door between the two, and that's not worrisome or ethically problematic at all. Rishi's a Brexiteer, for all that he might claim sometimes to be a pragmatist, so we can't expect anything to change there. It will continue to be the slow-rolling disaster, and he's hostage to the more extreme wing of his party that has hollowed out the parliamentary party in the years since Brexit, somewhat like how the MAGA types have done so in the US. He's pro-austerity, which killed 330,000 of my fellow Brits last time around in excess deaths. The background situation is even worse now, and it's coupled with what seems certain to be a harsher, less humane system around disability and unemployment and other reasons that people might be in need. Of course, this is happening as well right when many people are suffering from post-COVID issues that have made them disabled to one degree or another. Rishi also negligently killed a bunch of people with his Eat Out to Help Out scheme during COVID, causing people to venture out into the public for cheap restaurant meals, allowing them to mix again right when we finally had things under control to some extent. So these deaths are unlikely to bother him, even though they're likely to be worse this time around. The one ray of hope, I suppose, is that Rishi can be bullied by circumstances into pragmatism. The payments and support and so on that did eventually come with COVID are an example of that. It was basically cornered and didn't have any choice but to do it. So, which is why he's seen as somehow socialist by the hard right of the Tory party, which is just absurd. But I think he's too hedged in. I think the same party that chose Liz Truss to lead them will not allow him to be pragmatic, will not allow the same largesse that the populist Boris Johnson did during COVID. I think even facing the economic and social disasters that we are, they're so wedded to ideology that they won't shift. And so, even if he wanted to, which is questionable in the first place, I don't think it's likely to happen. Perhaps the biggest threat, however, is the idea that this rich psychopath is somehow a safe pair of hands. It's the old question of competent evil versus incompetent evil, chaotic evil versus lawful evil. Incompetent evil does harm, but almost without intending to, as a side effect of being shit. Competent evil sets out to do harm and is good at doing it, not because it's mistaken, because it knows exactly what it's doing and why. Still, his image may end up being enough for pliable, low-information voters to keep the Tories in when we finally do get an election, because our system is completely fucked and utterly undemocratic and unrepresentative. We can't have timely elections when it would make sense to have them. The worst part of that all is that he probably is the best and safest pair of hands that the Tories can muster right now, but you're never safe with a Tory. Much like in the US, it's a stark and existential political choice that we all face at the moment. But unlike the Americans, we're not really being given a choice. Not yet. Not until it suits them. Competent, clannish, tribal evil. Zang.
Greetings, Jerkian warrior elite. Know this, that your existence is down to the orders of our portly potentate, and that without him you would not exist. Your very conception in the clone tanks of Clonius, the cloning planet, is ordained by his obese omnipotence, and from that very moment you owe him your life, your servitude, and your loyalty. To be a soldier in the glorious army of the Jerkian Empire is perhaps the best fate that can befall lowly matter in this universe. The Jerkian Empire is all-conquering, all-powerful, has the best uniforms, the most advanced weaponry, and the greatest leader the galaxy has ever known. Nothing can stand in our way, and you, even as lowly as you are, can die knowing that you are serving a far greater cause and a far superior people to any other in the universe.
Invaders is a comedy game of mishap and alien adventure, where you play the part of diminutive and comedically and epically incompetent alien invaders. You can get it at post-mort.com and drive-through-RPG.
The police bring in reinforcements.
There was justice there, no poverty.